Hey internet friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay. Lijo, hello. Happy to have you here on my side of the internet. Today we're going to be talking about how the brain prioritizes the things. Very fascinating how our brain chooses one thing over another and in what order. And so we're going to get right into that. If you would like to talk to me about this subject or anything else related to the cognitive functions, personality, I have a link for video sessions below. You can book them there. All right, so we all have things. Life is just full of things, right? Here it is. Here's the volume. We're going to call it the volume of things. The things we experience throughout life, these could be people things, they could be things, they could be all this stuff, things inside of here. And right here we have your brain. Yes, I'm sure you didn't realize it looks like this. And your brain with the cognitive functions, right? And how your brain is prioritizing and filtering and spending time on this amount of volume. Now we can all do the things in our function stack, right? It's no surprise. If I have NI first and I have SE fourth, I can still do SC and I do it all the time. But what is my brain prioritizing in terms of the volume day to day and the order in which that volume is coming through? So today we're going to talk about the processing and prioritizing of the SC and the NI axis and kind of what it looks like for each of these functions to prioritize one thing and then it's allowed to do the other thing. All right, so first we're going to start with SE over NI. Now this will be any of your ESPs and any of your ISPs will have these two functions, the SE being dominant over the NI, again in a typical MBTI type. The volume is going to come in to the brain. I'm not going to make a mess, I promise. All right, so the dominant function is taking the weight and the responsibility primarily as this volume is coming through. So if someone has SE over NI, what are they doing? The majority, right, here's the top level. They still get to the other level, but what are they doing the majority of the time? And what SE is really doing as it relates to a lot of this volume is it's rating its experience in the present. All right, and if you have NI over SE, you would be one of the typical INJs or one of the typical ENJs. So what the heck is NI doing with the volume? What are they spending the most amount of time on? And what they're doing is they're processing the meaning of the volume. How does this whole thing come together as like a singular entity that applies to something that's happening now or in the future, right? So what NI is doing is it's running a simulation of how something is structured and pulls in as a whole. Now, NI usually has a lid on because it's like trying to have as little volume as possible because then it has to order it into a thing. But NI will be filtering through first here and then coming down to the SC. So what does that mean? And then what does it mean to have this order in terms of prioritization? Well, if someone has NI over SC, it means once I understand the meaning, then I can address it in reality. So it has to come through the top level first before it can go hit the one that's beneath it. And then what SE is going to be doing with all this volume and direction is they're going to be saying, once I have an array of experiences, right, variety and experience, then I can understand the big picture of what it actually means. So the reason I ended up making this video, which will be a short series, is that I saw a friend of mine who is SE over NI and the direction of the processing very clearly this week. What I noticed is that, they made some decisions, some big choices based off these SE experiences, right? And, also the direction they want to go, right? Because they still have NI. But that NI isn't being processed on the front end, it's being processed on the back end. So once they kind of made these big moves, then they were able to get the processing and they were kind of, hit by that wave of, oh, what this all means, processing, right? The whole idea of what this means, for that person. And I saw them processing it, that NI piece on the back end, and I just was like, wow, that's what I'm doing all of the time on the front end. And it was just so interesting to see it in reverse because, for myself, I'm simulating what this could be like, the instances of how this would shake down, how this would reduce down, what this would look like, right, as if these things were to happen. And then once I've simulated that enough, then I'm able to address the SE because I've already gotten the simulation out of the way. So it really shows you how, this model of once I do my dominant function, then my brain will allow me to do this. And that's what we're default programmed to do, right? And so in a lot of ways, it would actually make more sense to, do things in reality to get things moving first before you're, processing the thing forever down the line. Now, there's pros and cons to each, right? But I find it really interesting to look at through the opposite view and to just kind of put that hat on, And I'm going to challenge you all to put the hat on of a function that is below the one on the same axis, right? So if you have NI, above SE, put on a hat as if you had SE first or second, just above NI, and what that would look like. Try to catch yourself in your own bullshit of what you're doing and spending so much time on with your dominant function. And in the next video, we are going to be addressing this as it relates to NE and SI. So I hope you guys have a great time out there. If you like this video, please like it and things. Subscribe so that you're getting all the videos and you're not having to search for me. So it makes sense. Efficiency. Hashtag that's what's up. All right, so have a great night and life.